I've had plenty of people tell me, "Oh, you'll never make it. It's too hard." But just being able to prove guys wrong, and make it, that's an achievement in itself, and that's a life goal.
All right, we are here for our first episode on the NIL Ace Podcast. I'm here with Jordan Watkins, Ian Johnson, the president and CEO of NIL Ace, and wanted to bring one of our star Mr. Reliable into the building here as Jordan Watkins joins us today. Wanted to talk to Jordan about, obviously his career going through the football season and obviously a lot of things happening this year. So, Jordan, you got anything to add in the beginning?
Man, I'm just excited to be able to, come on the show and just really be able to introduce myself and kind of give a little bit of a background, a little bit about me and, my thoughts and goals and stuff like that going into the season. So just super excited to be able to get this thing started and glad that I can be the first one to hop on the show.
Absolutely, man. We're thrilled to have you and been thrilled to work with you, obviously, through this NIL space that's ever changing. And wanted to start off talking about, obviously what kind of got you into football. What was the first thing that brought you into this game?
Yeah, man. I started playing football when I was really, really young. I'd always had a love for football. Growing up, I would always play with the bigger kids. I'd be the smallest kid out there. Guys who are, twice my age out there. Playing football, just running around. I even remember, growing up and whenever I lived in Ohio, I would go out and put little clothes and inside my shirt and things like that to make it look like I had shoulder pads on. So I've always loved football. And I got started when I was about 6 years old. And I just haven't looked back since. And it's obviously been a fun journey to be able to get out here and play in front of thousands of people, and then also chase my dreams as I'm doing it. So it's been awesome.
It's been a pleasure to be a part of it and watch you obviously do this over the years. What made your decision, obviously, to go to Louisville in the beginning? Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I was committed to Kentucky for, a few months before I decided to decommit and go to Louisville. But, ultimately, there's nothing like playing for your hometown, and that was the biggest decision that led me to, want to be a Louisville football player. They just had a new coach who had an amazing season the year before that, kind of turned the program around a little bit. The year before he got there, they were like 1-10 or something like that, or something crazy, and hadn't won too many games, and then he came in and turned the program around, and then he also produced two first rounders. While he was there, so that was also eye grabbing, and then also being living 10 minutes away from the stadium, and campus also helped as well because nothing's more important to me than family. So being able to go home and just see my mom, my brother, my little sister anytime I want was very special for me, and being able to be there for holidays, and that's what ultimately led to me wanting to go to Louisville in the first place.
that's awesome. Family's a big part of everything we do in life. You and I know more than anybody.
Yeah.
Family can make or break you, and in certain situations, you need that, and that's the support that everyone needs going through something like this in their life. It's a tough game you guys play between those lines. So it's really cool to see you do that. And obviously, made your trip down to Oxford. We'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, had a great career at Louisville, and then decided to hit the portal, and you headed down south. So talk a little bit about that.
Heck yeah, man. There's nothing better than being in the South. The
That's
food's
right.
the food's great here. The weather's great, much much better. It doesn't get too cold here. But yeah, like you said, heading down to Oxford, making the decision to leave my hometown and head down south was a decision that I don't regret at all. Even though I mentioned family is the number one priority for me. Um, Oxford has done a really, really good job at making me feel like home. I always tell my
Right.
mom, it's my home away from home. As you can see, like I have a house here. Yeah, so I plan on staying in Oxford for a very long time, and I'll keep coming back to Oxford, and that's what really led to me wanting to leave my hometown and expand away, because I don't think any place that I visited while I was in the transfer portal, nothing compared to Oxford, Mississippi. Just the community is great, and not to mention the football team's really, really, really good too. So that was just a bonus. And when I came here, they didn't have the best facilities. The facilities were just being built, so it wasn't all about, oh well, he went for the facilities or the uniforms or anything like that. No, it really made it feel like home, for me. And like I said, man, I love the community here, and I'm obviously starting a family here in Oxford. So it's been a great fun experience with the transfer portal being so crazy the way it is now. You can
Right.
see it. You see a lot of guys not be successful after they transfer, and then you see guys who are really successful whenever they transfer. And I just happen to be one of those guys who ended. It worked out for me.
Right. So about the transfer portal, I want to ask you this: what would you say to even your younger self or guys that are looking to make that step? If they're not happy with the program they're at, or they think they could get a better opportunity somewhere else, what would your advice be to some of these younger guys making that move?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I see a lot of guys, with the transfer portal picking up now, is I think a lot of the guys make an emotional decision, in the time, instead of really sticking it out and um, trying to make something better out of the situation that they have now. Now, I don't like. I'm not one of those guys to where it's like, oh, well, the transfer portal sucks, because for me, the transfer portal saved my life, or like, my football career. I think because, I'm way, 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 way more, improved on the football field than I was at Louisville, and that also comes with growth as well. But yeah, I think the biggest advice that I would have for a younger guy is, make sure that you're making the right decision first, and don't make an emotional decision, because you see guys now, it's not just guys who aren't playing in the transfer portal. These are, now you see guys who are 3-year starters in the transfer
Right.
portal, and obviously, whenever a coach is looking at a guy who maybe has 3 years starting at a Power Five school, and then a guy who is younger, doesn't have as much experience, is leaving because he's not getting playing time. Well, a coach is going to pick a veteran guy over a rookie any day of the week, just because he has
Right.
that experience. Then you see guys who go to a school, transfer once, and then a year later they're transferring again, just because of the fact that it's the same everywhere you go. It's
Right.
just, now if you're in like a spot to where you don't really like the coaching staff, you really made the wrong decision, then that's when I tell guys, okay, yeah, maybe this isn't the best situation for you, which was what that's what led to my decisions, because obviously I didn't want to leave my hometown, but
Right.
the coaching staff and things like that, it just didn't work out. And then that led to my decision to transfer. So yeah, that's the biggest piece of advice that I got for young guys. And because you just see a lot of young guys now who are transferring 3 or 4 times, and then it's like, well, what are you doing? And
Right.
then people are looking at you all crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I completely understand that. No, I appreciate that take on that because you're somebody who's experienced in this new age, obviously with NIL and everything that's being experienced in this space. So that's going to be great for anyone that needs some advice. Somebody who's done it and still does it at a very high level. So
Right.
that's very good for you to relay that. I got to ask you this. I know we've never talked about this, even with our phone calls or anything. Who do you look up to?
Who do I look up to, man? I know it's gonna sound cliche, but the person I look up to is my mom. She has been my ride or die, for as long as I can remember, and the hardships that she's been through, man, it really gives me motivation, because it gives me hope that any tough time, or any situation, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. My mom's my hero. I say it all the time to people who ask. Um, and she is just the role model that I want to be for my kid growing up. Because she'll put me and all of her other kids first before herself. So that's somebody that, I just want to live life like.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask that in a two-part too. Now, who would you say on the field is your role
On
model?
on the field role model would probably have to be, well, that's a good one. Um, I haven't thought about that too much. You mean like mimic my game after,
I
or
would,
like,
yeah. I mean, mimic your game after who you kind of look up to as a pro. Obviously, because you're getting ready to make that step next year. So,
heck yeah. I think one guy that I would really, really like say that I kind of mimic my game after would be Odell Beckham. Just because like whenever I was in high school, that was when he was with New York at the time. And, he was making all those crazy plays, as a
right.
rookie, making those crazy catches. And I think, like, I tell people all the time, I think Odell Beckham really kind of like changed the game almost. Just
He 100% did. Yeah.
because, and I say that because, like, he's not the biggest guy, and I think like the league is shifting towards more smaller guys, not like myself, because before you would see guys like Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, who were
Right.
6'5" and just unbelievable
Monsters.
athletes.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, and then now you see guys like Ross St. Brown. You see guys like still Odell Beckham, who's in the league, but he's bouncing around. Guys like Tyreek Hill, who are more smaller guys, but they're still playing the outside receiver. They're still playing, in the slot. They're more dynamic.
Right.
And I think he changed the game in that way because he was a heck of a player whenever he was at New York and the things that he was able to do. So that's somebody, I look up to. I know he's been hurt and bouncing around from team to team, but I think he is still, in my opinion, one of the best receivers to, ever do it. So
I would agree with that. 100%. So yeah, leading into more of our conversation, I wanted to talk to you more along the lines of what's been your biggest challenge, you would say, that you're comfortable sharing.
yeah, I think my biggest challenge on the field was probably last year. Uh,
Right.
because I had ended up breaking my hand during the bye week. I was on a unbelievable run to be over 1,000 yard receiver. I think I was on pace to have about 1,300 yards receiving last season, and then I ended up breaking my hand during the bye week. And like for me, that was really really challenging because I could see everything taking place. All my hard work in the off season, everything like that, really shaping in and coming to shape. And then some adversity hit with me breaking my hand. So that was really really tough for me mentally because even though I had surgery the day after I broke my hand, and then I played about like 5 days after that in the game against Auburn.
I
It
remember
was
with the
yeah,
cast too. That
yeah,
was crazy.
with the cast. It was really really hard because like I'm like, man, like I was the guy, like I was the number one target. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
was leading the team. I was top 10 in the nation in receiving yards at the time. Like and then I come back in and then I break my hand. Auburn game, I don't really play as much because I just had surgery like 5 days ago. And then come back. I think we played Vandy maybe the next week, and I only had like 3 catches for 60 some yards. And I'm just like, well, what the heck? Like, I just don't get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was the guy, I'm still playing. And that was really, really challenging for me because like I said, this is something that I'd been dreaming of since I was 5 years old to be playing in the NFL and to get drafted. And then to have that setback, it really, really messed with me mentally, but it made me stronger at the end because, now I'm, you know, one of the top returning receivers in the country. And, that's God giving me another opportunity to go out there and, show my skill set. So that was probably
100%.
my most
Yeah.
challenging
Yeah,
moment.
and I think it made you stronger. I mean, somebody who's obviously been on the outside, working with you for almost a year now.
Hmm.
I think it did make you stronger. Seeing the personality change a little bit in you, Even though you still got that, fun personality ready to go after it,
Yeah.
but I saw it change. And it might just be a level of maturity that might have
Right.
changed you. And I think it might have put you in a better situation for the game of football.
Yeah,
Um,
no doubt. I agree. I agree with you 100%.
and it's crazy, man. Everything, I always say this to everybody, everything in life happens for a reason. And it just happened for a reason. It's just God maybe telling you one more year, and we go, and that's what we're going to see this year. So we'll definitely make sure everyone that's tuning into this podcast watches the Middle Tennessee game Saturday in Oxford. So that'll
No
be
doubt.
a big one to watch, and look for number 11 because he's Mr. Reliable, as the Ole Miss fan base calls him. So
No doubt, no doubt. And I think that like now looking back at it, just given the opportunity that we have now, like in Oxford and that Ole Miss is just awesome because we call it the last dance, and we mean that. So like it's all or nothing for us this year, and I'm glad to be able to be a part of something this special that we had like in Oxford. They like in Mississippi they haven't had the opportunity in a very very long time. And that's to win the national championship. And that's what we're trying to do this year.
absolutely. So wanted to obviously take a little step away from football here. I know what you do outside, but I think everyone else would kind of know what Jordan Watkins does outside of between the lines. So
Yeah, like I'm very very down to earth, cool guy. I don't do too like I don't do anything special. I go after I leave the facility. I come home. I have two dogs. I like playing with my dogs. Take them outside, take them on walks around the neighborhood and things like that. They probably just raised their head because they heard me say walk.
they heard
So
the word. Yeah, mine did the same
they
things.
they heard one of the words that we don't say, we spell out.
Right. That's exactly what I do. You have to spell it out, dude,
You
because
gotta
they
spell it
know
out.
and they start going. You're like, it's not that time.
Yeah, they start getting crazy. But yeah, I love playing with my two dogs, Ace and Gunna. And then also, as you know, I like to hit the golf course.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh
pretty sure
yeah.
any old Miss person that enjoys golf has probably seen me out there on the course. Maybe two, three times a week. So, and then I also like to play video games as well. I'm still young, still like to play video games. So that's pretty much what I like. That's what I like to do when I'm not at the facility watching tape or anything like that. So, and then I also just like chilling on the couch, chilling in bed, watching TV. I have my shows that I watch.
Right. So I'm gonna go back to the golf thing real quick because Jordan had a hole in one. I think it was what 2 months ago, a month
Yeah.
ago, and I saw
Uh-huh.
that. And I've been playing golf for a long time. I played college baseball, and obviously not doing that anymore. More on this side, but now I play golf as my sport. And I've been playing for 8 or 9 years, and I see Jordan makes a hole in one. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude! Like I've been trying to make one for so long. And it's crazy. But Jordan's a very good golfer, so that's something that needs to be known. I mean, this guy's dangerous, and we're gonna see what happens in November. I mean, it's gonna be a crazy one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, whenever you come up here to a game, I'm gonna have to take you out on the course, and we're gonna have to, go back and forth a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. Um, what would be your two top shows you're watching right now? Just out of curiosity.
Right now, man, I don't know what it is, but I've been on this Viking kick. So I watch
Okay.
Vikings. I love that show. I watched. They just came out with the new season. I watched it in like a week. So now I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Like what
Right.
now?
So I watched the
Um,
same show. That's a great show.
I love it.
Um,
I don't know what it is. I'm addicted.
crazy. Have you seen the first one with it's like 8 seasons. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
It's on Prime.
I've
Yeah, I
seen,
watched
yeah, I've
that
seen
whole
the first
thing.
one. Yeah, they got like they have some sequels too that are like on Netflix that I've watched all of them. I've watched all of them.
Ever since that one series, I think I started watching it too. Just because it dragged you in, and it's not something that like most people watch. You kind
Right.
of got to get through all the blood and the blood and the gore and all the craziness. And my girlfriend's not a huge fan of all
Yeah,
that, so
my girlfriend's not a huge
typically
fan
that's a
either.
late
She hates
night
it.
kind of watch for me.
Yeah.
But
Me too.
it's cool. I mean, it really is cool to obviously learn some history about back in the day. What
Right.
they went through.
And
So
kind of
really
like
cool
their
show.
religion and stuff like that. It's a really kind of cool for real. Like you said, it
It
gives you
is.
like like a historic background a little bit. Um, and I enjoy it. I like kind of, I'm in the same boat you are. My girlfriend hates it, but I love it.
So are
So
you gonna be one for Halloween or what's going
oh
on here?
no, no. This year I'm passing out candy. This year I want to
Okay.
be I want to be the house on the block that's handing out full size candy bars. So
Okay. So you're
you
not gonna
know,
hand out toothpaste or anything like
oh no, I can't do that. I
that.
have some neighbors who might do that, but not me, not me.
I believe it. I believe it 100%. That's interesting, man. Yeah, that's a great show. I've been watching it for a while now, and I really like, especially the new one.
Right? Yeah.
They just came out, and they came out with a new season, like you said, a couple weeks ago, and I watched
Yeah.
all the way through
Yeah. It's
that. And
already watched it. It's
it's
already
great.
watched.
Yeah, well, it's just like one of those shows you can't put down. You
No,
know,
you
you,
can.
you get one episode, and then something crazy happens, and you're like, dude, it's 2 in the morning. What am I doing?
Yeah. 2 in the morning, and I'm just like, man, I should go to bed, but nah,
But
I
it's
gotta
so
watch
good.
another episode.
That's the truth, man. That is the truth. Um, but yeah, heading more into obviously we'll talk about NIL space right now. I think that's something that we should talk about. Obviously, you being a part of our agency and working with us, and what do you think? Obviously, being in the space, what's it kind of been like for you having endorsement opportunities and things of that nature coming your way as a college football player?
Yeah, I, mean, I think NIL is a great thing. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm in the NIL era right now. I think it's a great opportunity for guys like myself to be able to you know be compensated for the hours of work that we're putting in. Because if you look at it, man, I mean this job. And that's what it is now. I'm getting paid to go out there and play football. This job is very very taxing on your mind, on your body, and your time. Because like, dude, like I'm at the facility constantly, and I think we only get 2 months out of the year that we really get time to ourselves. Other than that, man, we're working out, we're at the facility, we're doing things like that, just breaking down our bodies. And not to mention, this game's very very violent and very brutal. And as you see like the news and things like that, as far as like mental disorders that are now coming up in football players, and the safety precautions that they're taking, because this game is so dangerous. And the risk factor is really really high. So being able to make money based off of our performance on the field has been life changing for me. Because like I said, I got a house now in Oxford. That's something that wouldn't have never happened back in the day.
Right,
With guys who have played before me. And then you look at guys like Johnny Manziel, who are at Texas A&M, and he would have made a killing in NIL space.
right.
But he couldn't because it wasn't legal.
It wasn't
Uh,
legal, which is
right.
crazy because it was the last. 2014 was the last NCAA game,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me that wasn't some compensation for it. Because I'm pretty sure he was the cover of the game.
Yeah. Exactly. And you got
Um,
guys on the cover of video games, and they can't make a dime off of it. So like,
right,
like how is that possible? Like it just doesn't make sense. Because like I said before, it's a job now, but it's been a job way
the whole
before.
time.
Yeah,
Right,
it's been a job the whole time. And then you got these universities making billions of dollars off of current athletes, and then we don't see a dime of it or anything
right.
like that. So it's been great. I'm all for NIL, and I think NIL should stick around for as long as it can stick around. Because and it's not life changing money, but it's enough money to be able to sustain
Right,
um, for years. And I think that's the biggest thing. Just being able to sustain and have things that you know uh, uh, student athletes wouldn't have had back in the day. Because
right.
like myself, I have a daughter on the way.
Yep.
And I have to find a way to be able to provide for my daughter now, and NIL has helped. It's helped that tremendously, because having a stable home for my daughter, and having things that are very very necessary for my daughter to take care of her for years to come, um, has and NIL has really 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 helped for me.
Yeah, and that's something we'll talk about as well. I know we're I'm gonna let you talk more on that side, but I know we're expecting another family member in the agency pretty soon here with
Yeah,
your daughter Cameron coming. So we
no,
want to talk a little bit about that.
no doubt, man. Yeah, I have a little girl. That she'll be here next month, man. It's crazy. Seemed like it's just yesterday. We found out that she was pregnant, and now we're here, man. It's like a month away, and the season's here and all this other stuff. So all of it came up on me quick, man. And yeah, I'm blessed to be able to bring my little girl into the world, and make sure that she's taken care of, and then maybe she'll be a professional golfer down the road.
That would be the plan. I mean, we can both work on that pretty closely.
Heck yeah.
We could get her going. Hopefully, she's lefty. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm hoping the same thing. It's not anything to be able to kind of push her to being left hand dominant.
Right-handed, yeah. But so just for people watching this and tuning in, me and Jordan are both ambidextrous. So I think that's something cool that I really haven't relayed. And this is obviously our first episode, but Jordan last year in the Penn State game threw a pass left-handed,
I did.
and it was pretty special to see. Out of the backfield in that great win against Penn State, and had a nice little pass. And Jordan, it's interesting because Jordan plays golf right-handed.
I do.
And it's like me, I throw right-handed, but I play golf left-handed. So we're
Right.
like the opposites.
Which is kind of crazy because like I golf right-handed, but whenever I play baseball, I bat left-handed. So it's kind of weird, and it's weird how it
Right.
happened because like I had left-handed clubs at first, because like I said, I swung a bat left-handed, so I'm like, oh, I must golf left-handed. Um, Went out on the course, I sucked. I completely sucked. Obviously, it's golf. Golf's very hard, but I couldn't. I just couldn't hit the ball to save my
Right.
life. Um, and then one day, I was just like, I am ambidextrous. I write right-handed and things like that. So why not just? I went up to my stepdad and I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I take your golf clubs to go to the range?" And he's like, "They're right-handed." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. That's why I want to try them out." And I went and I was killing the ball. And then I never looked back after that. And here I am.
When it feels good, there's no point to change.
Oh no, not at all.
And it's crazy because I don't know if you see this, but like I watch some of the pros when they do their practice rounds and
Hmm.
like the tour and the live golf tournament, and some of them will hit from the other side, and it looks better than me trying 100 times in one of those.
No, for
like,
real.
I think it was Rory hit like a drive left-handed, and I was like, I could have stood out there for 2 years and I never hit it that far.
Never, never.
So
Those guys are unbelievable athletes, and the technique that
unbelievable.
they have is crazy. I
And
have
it's
I
so
have
mental. It's
it
so
really
mental.
is. That's why I have
It's
all the
so
respect
mental.
in the world for golfers. Some people are like, "Oh, well, golfers aren't athletes." Hats off to you. And you must have never played golf before because golf is
Right.
is very very athletic.
Oh, it's so frustrating. You hit a great drive down the middle and then you shake it sideways.
Yeah,
So,
literally.
and it could change on a dime.
Oh,
But back to obviously, what is your vision, obviously, heading into potentially the NFL next year? What do you want to achieve as a draft guy?
yeah. I want to like just being drafted in general is an achievement for me, because like I said, that's something that I've been dreaming of since I was in 6 years old. And I've had plenty of people tell me, "Oh, you'll never make it, it's too hard." But just being able to prove guys wrong, and make it, that's an achievement in itself, and that's a life goal. But obviously
Right.
that's not where it ends for me. Just being drafted is not where it ends for me. That's just the beginning, because now once you get there, you have to stay there. And that's the hardest part, is being able to maintain and be consistent in the NFL. Because just I think a lot of guys feel like once they get there, they made it, and that's the end goal. Well, that's not the end
Right.
goal. That's where it starts, and that's where you'll be able to, change your family's life forever. Is being able to make it on that second contract, because the first contract's cool, but it's the second contract that's life changing money, and that's where I want to.
100%.
It's the second
And
contract.
I think a lot of people misunderstand that
Yeah.
because the average shelf life of any NFL player is 3 or 4 years.
Right.
It may even be 2 at this point.
Hmm.
It's all about making it to that second contract, and that's just outlasting everybody at your position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No.
and you can do that a lot of different ways. And it's like I said, it's really exciting to see guys take this next step and get into the position that you've been dreaming about your entire life.
Mhm.
So it's definitely been a great journey to watch you go do this, man, because it's something different when I'm sitting in my house here in Tampa, or I'm out traveling and I see number 11 on the field. It's
Yeah.
it's special. It really is special to see you do your thing, man. Because obviously you're a great guy. You've got a great personality, but to see you have all those aspects and to be the athlete you are, it's impressive, man. I mean, you
Right.
don't find a lot of guys that have the quality, the value, and the athletic ability that you do. Because you're like a perfect action figure. If I was gonna make one, it'd be the Jordan Watkins action figure. Because the guy, I mean, there's nothing wrong, and not everybody is gonna have something wrong with him. But like I said, you set the mold for, I think, how guys should carry themselves and play at a high level. So
Right.
it's very impressive to see you do this.
And
It's been a
sometimes, like
privilege.
me, man, I just love football. So like, even then, like, I'm still living a dream now. For me,
Right.
because a lot of my friends back home didn't get this opportunity to play Power Five or Power Four now, Power Four SEC football. Um, and even like after the games, coming like Sunday, I wake up, I'll even cut on the rerun. Because I recorded it on my TV, so I'll cut on the rerun, and I just love ball so much, I'll just watch it. As a fan of the game, and I think that's like really really cool to be able to see myself out there, doing something that a lot of people just don't get to do.
Right.
And it's been really fun, man, just being able to play at Ole Miss, play, Power Four football, and just being able to go out there and pursue my dream. It's been really really fun and really cool too. Just because I love football so much.
Yeah, and it's a fabulous game, and it's been awesome, obviously, to watch you go through this and get ready to go for this national championship this year.
No doubt.
We're pulling for you. Did you get a chance to watch any of the games this weekend?
I did. I got to watch the. I want to say it was the. I watched the Florida State game last night. I watched the LSU and USC game. I watched the. What was the good one that was?
Was
Um,
it A&M Notre Dame?
I
That was
think
pretty good up until late, I think. Yeah.
it might have been Notre Dame, but it was. I'm trying to think.
There was another good one.
There was. There
There
was,
was a
and I'm trying.
couple of good ones Saturday. I know that the South Carolina game was close for a while.
It was. It
It was very
was.
close for a while. They got a new freshman quarterback. It'll be interesting to see how they
Hmm.
do. It's really interesting. Obviously, we got football back to see,
Yeah.
what's kind of shaping out. I mean, and not to knock on Florida State, Lucas, you can take this out if you want to, but what the fuck is going on?
I, I won't speak too much on the Florida State situation, man. But
Right.
I think they just got to pull it together, man. I think they had high expectation. I think they're still a little bit hungover on last season, and them getting snubbed and all that other stuff. But I think they just gotta go out there and play ball.
I think they just got to dig deep. I'm right there with you. Got to dig deep, go out and play ball. It's anybody's conference.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't think their season's over. With this the way the playoffs are shaped now, man, I think you still have an opportunity to go out there and still do something special. So I don't think their season's over. I think they can
No,
still, you know, I still think they can, just build and build and build. It's going to be a long season now, and backs against the wall. What are you going to do?
100%. I could not agree anymore. I just hear about it more than anybody because if people who don't know, Tampa is like Florida State second campus. Everybody in Tampa, including my girlfriend, are all diehard Florida State people. So,
Right.
I was sitting there last night. What's going on? I mean,
It,
and it's tough. I mean, not
it
everyone's going
really
to come
is.
out and dominate. I mean, and Boston College impressed me. I mean, they really did. They ran the ball for
They did.
270 yards. The quarterback, Castellanos, was moving. I mean, defensive
Yeah.
line was good. I mean, they really – and I think a lot of people that aren't fans or obviously work in the space or play like you don't understand how much the battle up front matters.
Oh, it matters big time. Big time. I mean, you could see it in like the two games that we lost last year. Alabama and Georgia. I mean, those are two of the best offensive lines and defensive lines in the country. And obviously the Georgia game was a little bit more separated as far as like marginal points. But you go back and look at the Bama game. I think for us the biggest battle was up front. And what did we do in the portal this year? I mean, we loaded up on defensive linemen, offensive linemen. So now, you hear Lane Kiffin, and I think you also heard Nick Saban talk about it as well. And it's like, well, now we look like Georgia. Now we look like Alabama up front, and that matters. It really does matter. It's a game of it's a trench warfare, man. It really is.
Well, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. So I'm glad we got to talk about that a little bit because it is. Everyone always looks, for the average fan, look at the quarterback, linebackers, star wide receiver. But if you
Yeah.
really get into the gist of football, it happens up front because it's all about protection, obviously running the football and making those stops. So,
Heck yeah. And you know who impressed me really? Whose defense really impressed me was Clemson's. Their defense really.
Clemson's got a really good defense this year. Played a really good first half against
They did.
Georgia, and that's a tough team to hold on to.
It is,
when,
man.
when your offense is not firing on all cylinders against a defensive line like they have, it's tough to
It
keep
really,
your D
yeah.
line rolling for 4 quarters.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what was it? It was 3-0 going into this was mid second quarter
Mid
almost.
second quarter. I mean,
6-0,
that's
3-0.
and you're
That
talking
part
about a
is
good offense too.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
No doubt.
Carson Beck is, he's legit. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a legit quarterback, and I think he could be the first guy taken off the board in the draft.
Yeah.
And I don't think Georgia has the weapons they had last year. I think they're missing Brock Bowers. I think Lad
Mhm.
McConkey, even though, obviously great player, but it was
Yeah.
more the Brock show last year.
Right.
But they're missing some pieces that I think is hurting them right now. But
And you might see some guys, step up to the play. I think that's what they're missing. I think they're missing a couple guys who I think they have the athletes to do it. I think
right,
they're just missing a couple guys who are willing to, make that leap forward and be the guy. I think the tight end that they have now, who is like potentially really, really could be that guy to really be that difference maker in the game. I think that's what they're missing. And also they didn't have the running back as well. I think that will probably, you know, put a defense on notice. Having Trevor back there running the ball. So,
yeah,
um,
100%. I
that could be a
mean,
difference
it's
maker.
just exciting. I mean, we're finally back. I mean, we've been talking about this, me and you, for months, man, and we're finally back in the best part of, I would say, the year because the weather's changing. It's going to get cooler down here. I'm not going to die every time I walk outside because it's 800 degrees. So it's exciting, man, and we're really looking forward to obviously getting together in person. Doing a little golf round together and continuing obviously this journey we've taken together. And it's been awesome to do it with you. So I'm going to ask you a couple more, and then, like I said, we'll let you go, man. I don't want to take all your time today, but because me and you could talk for, dude, it could go for a year. I mean, we'd have clips for 2027. So, but yeah, man, I wanted to really talk to you, and I don't know if we've ever discussed this, but do you have any superstitions before you play, or do you have like a ritual or something
I
you do?
I do, and it's kind of like a weird one. I've done it since my freshman year. Um, I have always before we leave to go to the stadium, I always make sure I take a shower before. Always.
Okay.
I never
Is
miss
it
it.
cold or hot though?
It's a hot shower. I never miss
Okay.
it. Never miss it, and I'm very very soon out. Like I will be late to the
Just so
bus
you can take a shower.
just so I don't know like what it is. I don't know. It's just it's weird. It's weird, but I that's my
Well, I mean, it
pregame.
keeps you
Like
fresh. I mean, I
it
like
does.
that. You don't
It
want to
makes
smell
me.
bad. I mean, it might help you so defenders don't cover you, but you know.
Like it makes me
So,
feel more relaxed, more calm, going into the game, and it really that it really helps me like flip the switch almost.
oh, I like that. Is there anything else that you're like superstitious about? Because I had some when I was playing, and you know,
Not really. I don't really like have too many superstitions. I'm kind of like I'm very like go with the flow type of guy. I'm trying to think. There might be like a small one that I do maybe that like isn't coming to the top of my head right now, but that's the biggest one that I make sure of
is a shower.
is the shower.
Gotta take a shower.
The pre-hotel the
Pre-hotel
hotel
shower.
shower. Man, I always make sure I go before we head
So
on the
let's
bus.
say the shower's broken, or are we knocking on Jackson's room and saying,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Oh
I
yeah.
need I need
Heck
to get
yeah.
in here"? Yeah,
Heck yeah.
that's awesome.
I think that's actually happened before. I think one time the water wasn't working in my room, and I went to I don't know if it was Jackson's room or not, but I went to a teammate's room and took a shower
Said
with
I
them.
got to get my ritual in, man. I
I
gotta.
have to.
And it's interesting because I do the same thing. People are all, my girlfriend's always like, "Why do you take a shower before golf?" And I'm like, I don't know. I feel
I don't know.
fresh. I feel
Yeah.
clean. You know, I'm going to go. You know, hopefully
No
break
doubt.
80. You know, so that's interesting, man. That's cool. I like that because I do the same thing. Obviously, not in front of 80,000 people, but you know, I take a shower and go play. You know, at the
Right.
country club or whatever I've got to do. But yeah, man, wanted to talk. This is kind of like our last little segment. But what's your favorite memory? Obviously, being at Ole Miss. I know we've got this season ahead of us, but so far,
I think my favorite memory was it has to be the LSU game. I tell people that all the time. The LSU game last year was something like unbelievable, just because the atmosphere was electric. I mean, I like Logan Diggs, who was at LSU last year, who's with Ole Miss now. Um, yeah, I asked him. I was like, "What was the loudest game that you've played in?" Obviously, they played in some big time games, and he was like, "Easily here." Whenever we played you guys last year, it was like the loudest game that I've ever been in, and we've had some loud games at, Tiger Stadium, and that was the loudest. And I mean, and it not only did I have a good game, but it was a great, great, great team win, and I think that game is what really brought us together to be able to had the season that we had last year, and it gave us a lot of momentum because if you go back and look in the fourth quarter, I think that we were down in that game, like we weren't
you were
winning.
down. I think you were down 7. You were
Yeah.
down 7.
And-
I think it was 35. Whatever the score was,
yeah,
35-28.
and we were down, man, and just being able to rally back and go back and forth, it almost gave me a heart attack on the field. But like now looking back at it, it's like, man, that was pretty cool. We were going back and forth, both offenses. I think both offenses had like 600 some yards of total offense.
Craziest game I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Now there was one other one, and you might remember this. Do you remember when Texas A&M played LSU a couple years ago?
I
And
do.
it was like 72 to
Dude,
68. I've
wild.
never seen, and that was comparable to that. That was one of those
Yeah,
games where like if you didn't watch you missed out because
exactly.
it
Exactly.
was just an offensive battle. And you're talking about two great offenses even last year with you guys and LSU. I mean, you look at
Yeah.
both those guys are in the or all three of those guys are in the NFL right now.
I mean, all three of them were first round draft
First round
picks.
draft picks. You're talking about a really good LSU team with a fabulous quarterback, and you
hmm
guys went toe and toe and ended up winning that. And how loud do you think it was when y'all scored that last touchdown?
I have no like, oh, Oh my, I don't even know. Well, really, we weren't even, honestly, if you want me to be honest, we weren't even supposed to score the touchdown. Trey wasn't supposed to score that
It's supposed to go
touchdown.
down.
He was supposed to go down, but they forgot because we have a board that we're supposed to put up, and they forgot to put up the board, and he just went ahead and scored it anyway, and that would have that would have taken away the situation that we were in 100%, and that like the last drive that they put together wouldn't have happened. But
Right.
looking back on it now, I'm glad that he didn't go down because it was like one of the craziest moments ever.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I mean,
that's
nuts.
that's the first time I've ever been a part of, like them rushing the field and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool to be a part of. I mean, fans everywhere. Like, I think somebody like I think a bunch of people were asking for my cleats and stuff like that. So it was like,
You're like, I gotta walk out of here, bro. Like,
yeah, it was like it was crazy. Like it was so fun. It was like
that's so cool.
so surreal moment.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's something we hopefully get to do again this year and be a part of is potentially Ole Miss. Getting y'all's chance. You guys are favored for a lot of your games this year. You've got a great team. Obviously, the wide receiver room is about as stacked as I think it possibly could be.
Right.
And it's going to be exciting to see you guys obviously heading into the season and getting into SEC play. I mean, there's a couple of teams in the SEC this year that are really making a push. I mean, Missouri's really, really figured it out.
Yeah, they
I
have.
mean, and it's I've been a fan of the SEC for years. I mean, watched it growing up in Atlanta, and to see some of these teams really breaking out, obviously with NIL and some of the new things that allow these programs to get better recruits, better
Right.
funding, whatever it might be to help their programs win. It's been really entertaining to obviously be a part of it and see everyone go through this process and journey. And I think the 12-man playoff is going to be really cool.
Heck yeah, man. I agree. I think like going back on the NIL thing, I think it's really changed the momentum of a lot of programs because
Yes.
I was scrolling on Twitter. Obviously, the with the Florida situation, the Lane Kiffin rumors are already circling. Lane Kiffin to Florida, and I seen a comment that was like, Ole Miss is a better job than Florida right now because of NIL and the
Correct.
NIL with the NIL market. And like a couple years ago, like 2019, before 2020, if you said Ole Miss was a better job than Florida, people would look at you like you're psychotic or something,
Right.
you know? And now I think that's really changed because you're seeing teams like Mizzou, who has struggled, the past couple years, and now that they're NIL and things like that starting to, you're seeing better players. You're seeing guys like Luther Burden go out there, and who's probably one of the best receivers in the NCAA. Like all that stuff is just it's crazy, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to be a part of.
Absolutely. I mean, it's giving programs a chance now.
Exactly.
Back to when it was just recruiting, you know, it's the big ones, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan.
Right.
They get everybody. Now, with NIL being in play, I feel like you have a better opportunity at getting the talent you
One.
want and recruiting because, a lot of these high school kids are coming out and they're seeing Missouri on the rise. They're definitely seeing you
Mm-hmm.
guys down in Oxford on the rise. So a lot of guys that are those 4 or 5 stars, 3 stars coming out of high school, are going to look at, obviously Ole Miss, Missouri,
Right.
some of the schools that have really put it together in the last 2 years. And it's awesome to see a program, even like Ole Miss, you guys. I mean, from where y'all were in 2019 to where you guys are now,
It's crazy, man.
it's
Wild.
crazy. It's nuts. And I think Lane Kiffin's got a big part in that. I mean,
Oh, no doubt. I mean, people just want to play for Lane, especially like if you're an offensive guy. Like people want to play for him. He's a great guy. He's a great coach. He's a player's coach. Says it all the time, man. It's a player-led team, and he really means that. Like he'll come up to me at practice one day. It might be a little hot, or it might be, not raining but sprinkling a little bit, and he'll come up to me or Trey, and he'll be like, "Hey, what do you think about going inside? Like what are guys' opinions? Like, you want to move practice inside?" And we'll be like, "Yeah, coach, it's hot," or "Yeah, like we don't want to practice in the rain." And he'll be like, "All right," and then he'll blow the horn, and he'll be like, "All right, everybody inside." So like he'll stop practice completely, and and go inside just because he came up to one of us and asked us what are guys thinking. So just like having a coach like that is great.
I think that is a great thing, because if you can relate to your guys
Hmm.
on a certain level, and then kind of let them take control, because it's y'all's team at the end of the day. I mean, obviously
Right.
he's going to coach, put you guys in the best position to win, but you guys got to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And I think having that relationship goes a long way. And
Yeah.
obviously, I've watched him over the years and a lot of the moves that he's made, and I think he's found his home, man. I mean,
No
it's
doubt.
remarkable what he's done,
No
and
doubt.
it's really cool to see how he works with you guys. So obviously, really excited to see you guys, in action this year, and I'm interested to see Mr. 11 do his thing, man.
No doubt.
It's going to be a fun one. But
No
yeah, man,
doubt.
that's pretty much along the lines of everything we've kind of discussed. Went through a lot of our notes here, and I really enjoyed it, man. I think this is something that we could do, throughout the year. And I think you're perfect for this, man. I mean, you won't be a stranger to not be on this. We're definitely going to do some stuff with other guys, and then we want to do some episodes heading into, the Georgia Ole Miss game. We're going to get, you and Nas, instead of me being on the left side, we'll get you and Nas in here and kind of have you guys talk about, obviously, Georgia D lineman, and we have star wide receiver Ole Miss, Jordan Watkins. So I think that would be a really cool, first kind of look, because there's not a lot of people in the space right now that are doing this,
No.
And really bringing out the personality. I mean, just from our, almost hour-long session today, I mean, people are going to know a lot more about you from this.
Right.
And I think that's important, because most of the fans, they just know you as Mr. Reliable, Mr. 11 on the football field. But I think it's very important that they know you as Jordan Watkins.
Right.
Because
No doubt.
everybody's got their own story, and I think it's important that we get that out. So I really appreciate you coming on, man. And, I think we'll continue to do this as the season goes through, and really enjoyed you being here with us today, though.
Heck yeah, man! It was really, really exciting to be able to share, who I am as a person off the field, and then talk about a little bit of ball on the field as well. So, that's one that I'm really looking forward to, is being on the podcast with Nas, and get on here, talk a little trash a little bit before we get out there and go head to head on the gridiron. So I'm really, really excited, and I really appreciate the opportunity to let me be on the show.
Absolutely, man. Of course, first one, and we had to bring in star wide receiver Jordan Watkins. So it was a pleasure, and we'll definitely have to get some clips out as we go through this. I think we do something with the LSU thing, because if I'm not mistaken, I think you had a couple tutties that game and a lot of yards.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to put some clips out on that as well, but. Jordan, thanks again, man, for hopping on with us, and have a good rest of your week. We'll be in touch, I know, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your personal side to obviously your journey through college football. So,
No doubt.
all righty.